Escape from Tarkov is an enigma to me because I have never resented playing something while simultaneously being addicted to it, and mind you, I've played World of Tanks for nearly 10 years.
I'm so sick of this fucking company.
But I even asked you guys how to have fun with this game, and almost everyone either told me you don't have fun or to resort to substance abuse. I want to share my recovery story on how I got hooked and why I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. But Escape from Tarkov is a hardcore multiplayer first-person shooter with some RPG elements, but you can play as either two characters in the city of Tarkov. But this region, once a city just like any other, has experienced complete societal collapse and is now inhabited by the local Russian populace, that being the Scavs, and to deal with the Scavs, we have the PMC factions. Tarkov is made up of a wide variety of maps that include a factory, shoreline, forest, shopping centers, even a laboratory, but the maps look beautiful in my opinion. It really gives off a feeling that real people lived in this region and now nature is slowly taking over. There is a dynamic time and weather system which can add a significant level of horror to the game because its armor levels of darkness, running around in pitch darkness and you can hear footsteps getting closer and closer to you is pretty harrowing. But staying on the topic of factions, you have a Scav character, which is a randomly generated character that can be used around every 30 minutes. You get random gear and your main objective is to literally scavenge for supplies that can either supply your main character. It also allows you to stay somewhat competitive when you've completely ran out of your supplies for your main character, but obviously you don't want to get into any gunfights or avoid them at all costs because you won't be able to compete with modern day firearms. But as a Scav, you aren't supposed to shoot other Scavs because even crackheads have standards, and if you do it, it will affect your standing with some traders. But unfortunately, this isn't America because the rules of engagement have made me want to pull my hair out because I'm getting shot at. Mind you, the bullets aren't actually hitting me, but I return fire. I drop them and then I get punished. It drives me absolutely insane because like you think that they're a Scav and they're not going to shoot you and then they just shoot you in the back anyways. But some of you might actually like this because it adds a layer of tension to the game, because obviously if you see another Scav, really you're not supposed to shoot them and they're not supposed to shoot you, but you don't know that, so you have to be aware of what they're doing, where they are, and just always be constantly checking your back. It can be frustrating to deal with at times, but it's also pretty interesting, especially if a Scav sees you get good loot. Honestly, they might risk their standing with some of the traders just to get the loot off you, so be careful. But you have your PMC character, which is able to take on tasks from traders that will level them up. You can customize your loadout and have freedom over what you want to take into a raid. You can level up your character's skills, and there is a lot of them. I can think there are plans in the future to add a degradation mechanic. I don't know if this is already in the game or if it's something they want to actually implement, but basically if you don't play the game enough, then your skills go down and your character becomes worse. Similar to real life when you don't practice something, but you know, some people have a job, have a life, have a wife and kids. Annoyingly, there is a similar system with the insurance mechanic because I didn't actually know you had to go to the trader and claim your insured items, because I found out that a bunch of my items had expired and they're like, oh yeah, you know, fuck you, I'm gonna go sell it on the market. And that drove me insane because it never actually explained to me what I was supposed to do. I just thought it went back in your inventory. But in this game, there's no tutorial because Tarkov is a game of learning hard lessons that will make you hate yourself. But all the traders have their own agendas that can please them. A lot of them are gold diggers who like it when you spend money on them, but some can give basic tasks such as find a certain amount of items in a raid or kill X amounts of enemies. But it can get pretty ridiculous from what I've seen, where you might have to headshot 5 PMCs whilst having both your arms broken and giving childbirth. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but they can really ramp up in difficulty to the point where you might think, okay, is this actually possible unless I get lucky? Alongside improving your standing with traders, you want to basically get as many resources as possible so you can earn money, buy supplies, as well as improve your hideout, which is a place you can walk around and train with firearms, but you also get buffs to energy, hydration, and the ability to craft special items. But I like the idea of having my own hideout because I can see it gradually get better, as well as it makes the game easier for me. But staying on topic of ease of play, what is the new player experience like? And it's not that good. There is no tutorial to help you. Heck, I would have even settled for a Hell Let Loose style manual that covers the very basics of gameplay mechanics, but the game throws you in the deep end to basically fend for yourself. I had my gun jam on me and I had no idea idea that was even a thing, and I had to Google a solution to unjam it in the heat of battle. I know you'll have people that say you'll just have to learn through trial and error, that's just a part of the hardcore experience, but I have to disagree. I find that kind of bad game design where I have to read a wiki post or watch a YouTube tutorial. But a nice thing they have is called the Sherpa program, which is where an experienced player will come out with you in the field and help you get in the game. This is great, but I wanted to play with my American friend and I kept on getting booted for high ping, but this is because people say they want a game to be as fair as possible and not have me rubber banding around with my 200 ping to affect them, which is fair enough, but the game requires you to get into a specific mindset. Similar to a game of competitive in CSGO, you need to be switched on. You need to be as if you're tweaking out and checking every possible area you can get ambushed from, as well as listen out to every possible sound such as footsteps, gunfire, and treat it as hostile. Because there have been times where I've been killed and I've just been left scratching my head every time, but every time you go out into Tarkov, you need to set goals for yourself. If you're playing as a scav, it might be to find some ammo or food or get a weapon. As a PMC, you might want to find supplies for your base or complete challenges, but this is where the high risk, high reward comes into play, because every time you go into a raid, there's always the possibility that you will lose every single item that you have on you. Unless of course you put it in your chest, which my friend says is a key stud chest.
If I were to put this in here, firmly up my ass, then I will never lose it. I will always see it.
Because the thing is, I was so happy when I got a decent gun, decent gear, and I ensured everything, and then I went out into a raid and I got killed from God knows where and I lost everything. And I'm gonna be honest, I felt like crying, and insurance didn't bother covering it, which made me go insane. But you need to understand that you will have moments where you just get absolutely shat on by a more experienced player, which is fair enough, that's gaming, but one wrong mistake can have you lose everything that you have. The thing is, there's no winning screen, unless you count the survival screen as one. There's no specific way to play this game, and you can progress at your own pace, doing whatever the hell you want. There is a thing called a wipe, which is once or twice a year. Basically everything you've worked for gets erased, including stats and everything, so everyone can be on a more even playing field. Obviously, it depends on what version of the game you got, which will make the wipes a lot more bearable. But I personally like this idea because it does keep the game fresh, and that people won't have access to infinite amount of items forever. But it also means that if you know the game inside out, you can dunk on new players, which is, like I said, fair enough, that's gaming. But obviously, if everyone's starting on an even playing field, if you have more experience, it will come to your advantage. But this leads me onto the topic of cheaters. Quite frankly, I'm not good enough to be slinging accusations, but as someone looking into the Tarkov community, I do see this as a pretty common criticism, because you have some people say that there is a major hacking problem, but you also have other people say that it's overblown, and quite frankly, I don't know who to believe. Apparently, the laboratory map is a very common area to experience hackers, but this game does have realistic elements to it that add to the hardcore experience. Obviously, it's not a one-to-one real-life simulator. You can still walk with broken legs and whatnot, but I'd say it's more hardcore because when you encounter things such as bleeding or being injured, if you don't have supplies, simply a bullet wound can mean the end of your life. And I didn't actually know this because I was left scratching my head when my character seemingly had a heart attack. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a shit and piss mechanic implemented. I know that's vulgar and disgusting, and some of you are probably being like, Tanty, what the fuck? But I can imagine that some of you love your realism and hardcore so much that if there was like a meter for where you had to like relieve yourself, people would unironically be in full support of that. But bullets can ricochet, penetrate different surfaces, and react differently to different types of armor. The thing is, a weapon isn't really what's deadly, but more so the type of ammo is what defines it, because heck, there's literally a spreadsheet that has every type of ammo down to cost, velocity, penetration, ricochet, and fragmentation chance, but there is a very large variety of weapons to choose from, such as your AKs, M4s, submachine guns, shotties, and even hybrid weapons. Really, you can pimp out the way your weapon fires or basically handles to be a specific playstyle. There are meta guns, but I'm above that. I don't need to do well with meta guns. It's totally not because I don't know the game well enough to actually know what the meta is. But another cool thing is if you equip headphones, it actually changes how you hear your surroundings. Gunshots will sound more damp, footsteps and movement will be amplified. If if you equip a helmet with a visor, it can actually distort your vision. Honestly, the atmosphere that this game creates is just really good, especially when I made my own persona of this lone gun going into an abandoned zone trying to scavenge for resources to survive. Okay, maybe I'm overthinking the game, but you know what? I really like that. But look, this game is hardcore. And even though it's not a game that I would find myself normally playing, I'm just so addicted to it and I love it so much. But I want you to click on the video that is on screen because I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Anyways, my name is Tansu and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.